Hello! So, this video is going to be about my experience as a barman and sort of what I learned from it and why I'm no longer a barman. So, a wee bit of a backstory. When I was 18, I left school and I think I went out one night. And long story short, I saw a wanted sign, like a job wanted or employees wanted here. And I put my name in behind the bar, and then that was that. Woke up the next day. The person that owned the place phoned me, and I got a job just like that. And for the next 7 years, I was a barman. I was pretty good at it. I enjoyed it. Lots of fun times working behind the bar. Getting to meet a lot of people. People really like bartenders and sort of bar staff because everyone's having every time people have a fun time, right? They go out, you're always sort of there, so they sort of associate you with good times and such. I'm very, very glad I did it. It definitely brought me out my shell. I had to really come out my shell, especially as like a young man behind the bar. Women definitely have it easier behind the bar. They don't have it easier, because they probably do get, sort of preyed upon, with drunk men and such. But now, in order to be a young guy and, sort of do well behind the bar and do well at the job, you definitely need to be a bit more extroverted and be able to, take shit from people and give it back. So that was one aspect that I absolutely loved about it. But so yeah, over the next sort of 7 years, I continued working at the same place. I went to uni, left for reasons, and then came back, kept working, and yeah, it was really good. I got really, really good at it. I really, really enjoyed working behind the bar, but I used to drink, a little bit too much. It's a bit too easy when you're in that sort of environment. You finish work and then, because you get friendly with everyone, right? Everyone wants to buy you a drink and such. You want to stay behind, have a drink. Like, yeah. And it just got a little bit too much for me. And I wasn't sort of liking the habits that I had. I was drinking far too much. So I decided to stop drinking and to really focus on my health. And I started studying, sort of the human mind, and I really got into fitness, calisthenics specifically. So I started to go through this sort of like identity change, because drinking was such a big part of sort of who I was. My whole life basically revolved around the pub, my social life, my actual work, So when I started to go through this change, it was being a bartender started to lose its charm a little bit. Because I wasn't drinking anymore, and I was starting to want to focus on building a stronger body and a stronger mind, and drinking doesn't really align with that. So I started to feel conflicted a little bit. I was still working at the same place. I became the head of housekeeping because it was a hotel as well. So I was doing the bar and I was head of housekeeping. So I was living there and I had to be there sort of 24/7. It was all right. It was a good deal, but I don't know. Part of me wasn't fulfilled, being a bartender anymore. So and especially when you don't drink and you're constantly surrounded by people that are drunk as well, it becomes. So like you're already kind of put off by drinking, because the side effects and such that it has long term. And when you're around it all the time, when you're sober, it just completely loses its charm. You see people come in, they're in control, they're themselves, and then slowly, as the night deteriorates, you see them just completely sloppy versions of themselves, and not very in control. I think that was the biggest aspect for me was, just, I used to want to not be in control. I think that's what I used drinking as sort of a escapism. And because I no longer had that desire to sort of escape and I wanted to build myself up, it just completely put me off seeing seeing people just lose control of themselves. So eventually I quit. I left. I was like, right, this isn't doing it for me anymore, so I need a change. So right now I'm currently building up my own self-development business. I said, I studied the human mind and fitness and such. So I've sort of gone all in on that. But when I quit, I started working in a factory, and this has been, I don't know, I just started to really sort of question things a lot more, and I'm glad I did this. I started working at a factory. It was a bakery, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I had a plan. It was to, work, because the hours were good. You start like 5 in the morning and finish by like, midday, 1 p.m. So you had like the whole rest of your day. So, I could like work on my plan and such, continue doing the workouts and, eating healthily and such. And I found it really, really interesting. But it was, when I was working at the pub, I was sort of, just, because I've been there for 7 years, and I started to sort of question. I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Because I didn't, I could see I was just doing the same thing over and over again. I didn't have a direction. And that's what really started to, make me question, like, why am I doing this? And, I was good at it, but, I was like, what, am I going to stay here for another 20 years and just be, Carl the barman? So, no, so I changed. I started working at a factory, a bakery factory. It was interesting. It was good. I enjoyed the work. It was a bit more physically intense. You wouldn't expect it from a bakery, but you're handling like tons of dough. I found it quite surprising how sort of manually intensive it was. It was good though. I liked it. The people there were good. You got to learn all the machines and everything, but I very quickly, I found myself, wanting to be good at it. I was trying, I was asking to, do more, such and all this. And one day, it just sort of hit me as like, this is going to be the exact same, isn't it? I'm just, it started to feel the exact same. It was just, I'm getting up and I'm going to work. It doesn't matter how good I get at it, I don't see myself living much of a better life than this. It's just, it just sort of dawned on me as like, right, because I'd only really worked in a bar since I was 18, it was my first job, right? And I could see, I was just like, I'm not going to live the life that I want to live by just going from job to job. And I could see this, it started to become the same sort of feeling as when I was working behind the bar. And that was, I don't see a way out of this. I don't like the direction this is going. And for some people, maybe that's fine, safe, you know where your income is and such, that's completely fine. But for me, I was like, no, that I don't, I know I can go for more. I know I can achieve more. And the biggest thing that shocked me was when I was working at the factory, people would sit and they would talk about the weekend, like going out to the pub and such. And then they would talk about it, and then when the new week came round, when Monday came round, they would sit and talk about what they did of the weekend, how fucked up they got and such. And then as the weekend, grew near to an end, they would start talking about, oh, we're going out this, And it was so strange to me, because for me, I had always been on the other end of that. So, I never worked just, Monday to Friday. I always worked, sort of weekends and such. I was so used to this. So, it was just so strange for me, because going out and being there when everybody came out was just another day, right? It was just another work day. It was just work. And it was so strange to then be on the other side of it, where people are sitting and talking about, oh, I can't wait to go to go out and such. And it was I don't know. It was just like, because all I had known was working in the pub, you know, and then like just being there when people came in and such, you know, and people talk about the work, but it's far different actually experiencing it, actually being there and experiencing it, working with other people, and then them talking about you going out and such, right? It was, it was so weird, you know, and it just sort of made me that's when it sort of really hit me. I was just like, it's, you know, is this just like the cycle that a lot of people get into? You know, just work and then go out on the weekend, you know, get drunk and then, you know, get back, you know, then go back to it. And I was just, it was so, I don't know. I just thought, you know, no disrespect to anybody that does enjoy doing that. But for me, for having been around alcohol and, you know, been in that sort of industry for 7 years, it was just such a, you know, it was so old. You know, yeah, it was just so, I was just done with it. You know, I'd been there, you know, seen it, you know, worked, you know, hundreds and hundreds of nights out, seen how it all goes, and yeah, I was just ready for something different. And you know, you could when you work behind a bar, you become very, very observant, right? Because it's, you know, it's just like as a guy behind the bar, it's your job to keep everyone safe, right? You have to observe, you know, how drunk people are. You know, you learn a lot about people as well. You know, you see the best of people, you see the worst, right? You can sort of pick up on why people are drinking, you know. And it just sort of made me question. I was like, why do we drink? You know, and I sort of thought back, like when I was 18, I got introduced to, right? You turn 18, you go to the pub, you know, this is what we do. And yeah, it just made me sort of just really question things. I was like, why do we do this? Why did I do it? It's not what I want to do, so why do I do it? Or why did I do it? I don't do it anymore, but you know. And having worked in that environment for so long, you know, I miss it sometimes. I miss the social aspect of it, and that I completely understand, but at the same time, I don't miss that environment. I live a completely sober life now. You know, I focus on my fitness, and you know, now I'm going to start making videos. I do plan on, you know, traveling, and I think this is a sort of good place to sort of start, maybe understand the person behind the camera a little bit. But yeah, just through all this experience, it just sort of made me really, really question what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why do I even do what I do? Is it just because other people do it? And it just made me really sort of think of my life. It's like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? And I completely understand why a lot of people would just, you know, a lot of people want to just, you know, have a job and, you know, have a sort of safe life, because it's fucking stressful. Starting a business is the most stressful thing I've ever done. And I'm not, you know, things aren't even up and running yet, but what else was I going to do with my life? You know, without trying to create something. I'd started to notice this when I worked at a music festival. This music festival, it's a local one, and I remember working it, and I was speaking to a girl at the time. She still is now, but she wasn't actually my girlfriend, but now she is. And I remember it was the final day, and there was like 10,000 people there, and everyone was, you know, enjoying themselves, having fun and such. And I remember saying to her, I was like, all of this came from the mind of one man. Like all of this this idea came from one person, and now all this is sort of happening. that sort of inspired me. I was like, I wonder what I could do. I wonder what ideas can come from my mind and the sort of impact I can have on the world. So that's what I'm doing. But from my time in the bar, it just made me question, why do I do what I do? Why do I even enjoy this? I miss getting the crack with friends and such, but there was no real direction, there's no real purpose behind it. The funny thing is now, see, like I don't go out anymore, but now when I do see people, it's like the interactions and just the experience of seeing them means so much more because it's a lot scarcer, When people just see you, every single week, like people would see me every single weekend. Either I was working or I was out, right? I was always there, and now when I see people, the interactions mean a little bit more, because I'm doing more. Not only because I'm doing more for myself, right? I'm actually doing more things, so there's more to talk about. But it's also that that scarcity. I haven't seen you in a while. What are you getting up to? It's it means a little bit more. And yeah, I just started to really question. So why do we even do this? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And a lot of the times I didn't even know. I didn't even know why I was doing what I was doing. And by asking myself those questions, I brought it to my attention, so I could do something about it. So yeah, that was sort of what do you call it? My introspective, what I've learned from working in that industry. But yeah, so I'm just sort of reflecting a little bit on it as well now. It's been a while since I worked behind the bar, but I'll never go back. I'm going all in on something that I've created. So yeah, I guess I'm sort of making this just to share my point of view. I think it's an interesting one. Sort of seeing both sides of the coin. And I mean, I still understand why people do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating stop drinking and such, but just for me and the life I've lived so far, it was just I want to see how much I can achieve, not sort of how much fun I can have. I actually find it more fun now trying to, achieve stuff. It's weird how your perspective on things change as you, sort of start to grow up and get a bit older. But yeah, so that was my perspective after working in a pub for seven years, and then, getting another line of work. And yeah, I just find it strange, like that was, people couldn't wait for the weekend and such, and for me it was just another day, and when you do it for long enough, it sort of just loses its, the magic behind it, sort of, you see it all, but yeah, I don't want to be sort of doom and gloom, just sort of thought I'd share my thoughts on it. I don't know, maybe someone will find some value in this. But yeah, I think that was an important one as well, is just realizing that everywhere you look, everything that is man-made came from the imagination of someone. Everything. This chair, this camera, a door, right? All started off in someone's imagination. Someone thought of it and then created it. The business I'm starting, that came from my head. Any business you see, everywhere, there's thoughts and ideas being played out. And the thing is, the people that have put these thoughts and ideas into action probably aren't much smarter than you. So what could you do? What could you do with your life? What could you create? So yeah. So that's that's my first video. I don't know. I had the idea of it, so I wanted to make it. Start putting things into action a little bit more. No more thinking, a bit more action. So yeah, until the next one. I'm not sure what the next one will be. If I get an idea for it, I'm sure you'll see it. So thank you very much, guys. My name's Carl. Didn't even give myself an introduction, but yeah, lovely to meet you. And yeah, have a lovely day.